Okay, good morning everybody, and I thought I'd do a video because I haven't done one in a little while about some information regarding Panama. Even though I'm in the real estate industry, I find that about 90% of what I do when clients contact me is answer questions about relocation, answer questions that they have regarding Panama. Panama is a great country, but it's not highly promoted by the government. It's just not a priority to try and promote the country from a touristic point of view here, it seems. Even though a lot of us that are in real estate, hotels, tourism, those types of things would love to see it promoted more. There's a little bit of underservice as far as promoting. So it's up to us, industry professionals, to kind of do our own promotion, help people. And that's what I find I end up doing about 90% of my time, is actually answering questions from clients regarding stuff related to Panama. So today I thought I'd do a top 10 list of the most common questions that I get asked, put it out there for the world to see, and hopefully help people in their research if they're deciding to come move to Panama for their life, for their retirement, for whatever stage that they're in. Because again, like I said, it's a lot of what I end up doing. So why not get ahead of that a little bit, put it out there for the universe to have, and then hopefully, even if you're not looking at moving to some of the areas that maybe I have real estate in, it still helps you generally with information on Panama. So let's get started here on the first question, and it's definitely one of the most common questions. And some of what I'm going to give you is a little bit of opinion, but I think it's opinion that's backed up by fact. Okay, so the first question that we're gonna go over here is, what's the cost of living in Panama? And I always use the numbers. I say for people from the United States of America, it's typically, for most people's lives, it's about 40% cheaper for people to live in Panama than it is to live in the United States of America. And for Canadians like myself, I always say it's anywhere from 40 to 60% cheaper to live in Panama than it is to live in most parts of Canada. Now, people always go, well, what's an adequate budget to live on? I guess that depends on what level of lifestyle you want and exactly where you're living in Panama. There's a lot of information sources out there that say you can live on $1,200 a month. I kind of disagree with that, but I disagree but don't disagree with that, in the sense that $1,200 a month is very doable if you're paying rent or if you own a house and you have no mortgage, but you're definitely living a downgraded lifestyle on something like $1,200 a month. You're eating more rice and chicken, you're eating more rice and beans, you're not going out very much, and you're definitely not traveling that much around the country, but it is doable. The average wage the medium for Panamanians is about $800 a month. But a lot of people, especially if they want to come here, they're coming here for a better standard of living, not a worse standard of living. So I would say to do $1,200 a month would be a little bit difficult, but it is doable. I always say for a single person, you're looking at a minimum of about $2,000 a month. If you lived on between $2,000 and $3,000, you're living pretty good. And if you're living on a $4,000 a month budget, that's US dollars, you're living a pretty good life. So you can do pretty much everything you want to do on about $4,000 a month. And that goes for single person or couple. If you have more than that, you're living large. Okay, so that's a general idea. And that includes your services, your insurance, food, travel, eating out at restaurants, drinking some. You can do that very, very well on between $3,000 and $4,000 a month, no problem. But again, it depends on what you want. Everybody's priorities are different. I understand that. Everybody has different lifestyles and everybody has different standards of living. So I'm talking in generalities, and it's a really, really hard question to answer. But definitely if you're above $3,000 a month, you're living a fairly good, stable, well-fed lifestyle. And that includes eating good food at home, and it also includes going to some nice restaurants quite frequently. Okay. Second question. That's definitely one of the most common questions besides budget, is safety. I always say Panama is one of the most safe countries in Latin America. Where I personally live, which is in Panama, it's probably the safest or one of the safest places of Panama. So, there are definitely areas in Panama in the urban centers that are a little bit more dodgy to go into. And, they're pretty obvious on what they are. And definitely recommend not going down, some of those back alleys and back streets in Panama City sometimes. But generally, 90% of Panama City is quite good, quite accessible, quite safe. There's a lot of police here, and the police tend to be a lot more proactive in trying to prevent stuff rather than just dealing with stuff after it happens. So that's nice to see as well. And Panamanians in general are friendly, happy people that are not out to try and get you for things. So it's a nice feeling. I've visited, and other people have visited other countries that have a little bit of a different attitude, especially towards people that may not be from here. But Panama in general, they're just smiley, happy people that are not out to try and rob you or commit crimes or things like that in general. So it is quite a safe place, and the crime statistics tend to be a lot lower than most places in North America, and definitely lower than a lot of places in Europe. So it's generally a friendly, safe, nice place to live. Weather is a ginormous factor that I get in a lot of the video calls that I do with clients and a lot of people that come and visit. Weather is definitely a factor in deciding if you're going to live somewhere, because a lot of people want to leave the bad weather behind and come somewhere in the tropics that has better weather. The biggest thing that I always say in Panama, and one of the reasons why I live where I live, is there's no tornadoes, there's no hurricanes, we don't really even get tropical storms. There's no real earthquakes. I mean, we get tiny little earthquakes, but they don't affect anything. There are parts of Panama that get a little bit more earthquakes that are closer to Costa Rica with active volcanoes and things like that. But in general, it's not like California earthquakes or earthquakes in Chile or places like that. So we have a wet season and we have a dry season in Panama. There's really only two seasons. And depending on where you live depends on how long that wet season is versus how long the dry season is. Where I live in Panama, the wet season typically goes from the end of May until about the middle of December. And then the dry season goes from the middle to end of December until the end of May when it starts raining again. So a lot of people choose to come visit here because it's cold, especially in North America, between February or January to say March or April, and that tends to be what we call the high season. So people come here, it's blue skies every day, there's barely any rain whatsoever. You can plan a trip to the beach next week and it's not going to get rained out if you're going to the beach to have a barbecue or have some fun with some friends. And then rainy season, it depends on where you live. If you live up in the mountain areas, you tend to get a lot more rain. If you live down where I live in Panama, we get sporadic rain. It's usually not too bad. And then there's everything in between. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's about 160 or 161 microclimates in Panama. So it really, really depends on where you live, on how much rain you get, and when exactly that dry season to wet season period falls. But typically after Christmas it gets dry until about May, and then after May until about Christmas you're into rainier parts, which the rainy season can be really beautiful as well. Everything goes emerald green, it goes tropical, it goes lush, the jungles just flourish. All the farm fields just turn green. The cows get all fat. It's quite nice. I like rainy season as well. So, but it depends on what part of Panama you're in. Depends on how much rain and everything that it goes to. Next question. Do I need Spanish to live in Panama? The short answer is no. The long answer is your life will have a lot better quality and you'll connect with a lot more people, a lot more locals, a lot more people from other parts of the world if you do actively try to learn Spanish. Me personally, I've been here going on 4 years now. I study every single day. Sometimes I study more than I study other days, and it depends on how busy I am with work and with other things. But I find that the more Spanish that I have, the more friends that I can make, the more connections I can make with people, and life is a little bit easier. That being said, there's people that have lived here for a long time and just have basic, rudimentary, or no Spanish, and they seem to be able to survive on it. Panamanians are friendly. They're nice. If you're in tourist areas, there's a lot of people that do speak English because they've been trained in the hotels or as tour guides or things like that to accommodate. A lot of people in Panama City, especially in the more touristy or foreign dominated areas where people live, definitely do speak more English as part of their education. So it is possible to live here without it, but I always encourage everybody to learn Spanish because we're in a Spanish-speaking country where the official language is Spanish. But, that's the short and the long answer to that. What are residency and visa requirements for Panama? That's a loaded question. That's a long one. I'm going to give you superficial answers, and if you want to dig in deeper, we can talk about that more one-on-one, or you can do some Google searches on it. Typically, there's a bunch of countries, North America, a lot of European countries that have an agreement with Panama. It's called Friendly Nations. And Friendly Nations, you can get permanent residency here. As of today, it's a $200,000 investment to get a Friendly Nations residency visa. It's a 2 to 3 year process. A lot of people choose to buy real estate as part of that investment, which allows them to immigrate here or live here part-time, but with permanent residency. It's not a visa, it's a permanent residency for the $200,000 investment. The other most popular path that people take is a retirement or a jubilado residency. And basically what you have to do with that is prove for a single person that you have at least $1,000 US per month, or for a married couple $1,250 per month. And you have to prove that that's a lifetime income, and then you can get between government fees and lawyers' fees, for a few $1,000s you can get your permanent residency as a retiree. The other most popular visa is what's called a golden visa, and that's a $300,000 investment as of today. It does change sometimes depending on where the government's sitting. And that's, again, a lot of people choose to put that $300,000 into real estate, whether it's buying land or buying a house that they're going to live in, either full-time or part-time. And the difference between the Golden Visa and the Friendly Nations Visa is that the Golden Visa is much more fast-tracked with the $300,000 investment, but the fees for it are a little bit more money to the government. Okay. Is Panama a good place for retirement? The short answer is yes. It's fairly friendly. It's fairly easy to come to. It's a short flight from a lot of places, especially in North America. And it's definitely more accessible for our European friends as well. There's a lot more flights coming directly from Spain, Turkey, places like that. Again, it's one of the easiest places to obtain residency with the retirement visa. So it's very good that way. It has a very good medical system. We'll touch on that again a little bit more in a minute. And it's also jubilados or retirees receive a 20% discount on many things once they have the residency. So it's very, very friendly for retirees to choose Panama as their retirement location. And again, the dollar goes a lot further for many people. So once you're on a fixed income as a retiree, it's always about trying to spread that dollar out a little bit farther. And that's why a lot of people in the retirement situation do choose Panama for their retirement. What are the best places to live in Panama is a question that I get asked. And that really, really depends on you. Some people like a city life, in which case I do have real estate options in the city, Casco Viejo, which is old Panama City, modern apartments in Panama City. Other people like to be in more of a foreign-oriented area, such as Coronado or Boquete. Again, weather plays a huge factor, I find, in people's decision on what they want to do. Personally, my main business is in Pedasí right now. And a lot of people that come to Panama, it's a beach town with about 7 or 8 beaches that are very accessible within a 5 to 10 minute drive of the center of town. And a lot of people live in the beach communities or outside of town closer to the beaches. There's also water sports and a lot of other activities within some of the other small beach communities that are within a 15-20 minute, half an hour drive of Panama. But it all depends on what you want. I always encourage all of my clients, I say, find a place that you fall in love with first in Panama, and then we can find you a house or an apartment. But it's most important to really, really go to a place that you're going to enjoy the weather, you're going to enjoy the community, you're going to enjoy what the area has to offer, because that's where you're going to live. And the good thing about Panama is that there's a lot of options for that. I always say there's 160 or 161 microclimates, and there's almost as many options for places to live that fit everybody's different needs. So it's not a question that I can answer, superficially in this talk, but it is definitely something that I can give you some information to start researching on your own on what area. I'm personally, I'm preferable to Panama City and Panama. One offers a lot of conveniences and a lot of modern things, and the other one offers a really, really tranquilo lifestyle, a very relaxed lifestyle. And I can jump in my car and I can walk with the dog on the beach anytime I want, which I did yesterday morning. And so it really just really depends on what your priorities are on what the best places are. But there's Panama City, there's Panama, there's Boquete, there's Coronado, there's Val de Anton, there's Santa Catalina. Where else is there? There's all the areas outside of Coronado which are popular because of price, but you have all the conveniences of Coronado. There's Torrio, there's Boca Chica. These are all beautiful places, but it's all about this balance between how much you want within your community versus conveniences versus weather, and it's finding that balance that's best and most correct for you. How easy is it to buy property in Panama? Extremely easy. Panama has made it that you can buy property here simply with a passport. You don't need to be a residency. And with your passport, you have all the same rights and protections as a Panamanian citizen, even if you're not a resident. So if you're buying title land and somebody tries to make a claim against that, it's not that it's you versus a Panamanian, it's you versus another person as a property owner. And if there's some type of a claim, if there's some type of a problem, if there's any issues that come up, the Panamanian legal system is going to support you as a foreigner owning property the same as that they would as with a Panamanian. They don't want to see bad stuff happen to foreigners coming in here and buying property. They want it to be a positive experience. So that's very good, because there's other places, and I've heard lots of stories and horror stories where the government changes and they just come and take foreigners' properties and things like that. So Panama typically doesn't have a history of those things happening. I'm not saying there's not bad things that happen here with unscrupulous people, so you got to be careful, but typically it's very easy to buy property here. And it's one of the reasons why I chose to live here personally as myself, because I had a lot of experience in Asia where you never really own property as a foreigner. And Panama is one of the places where it's very, very easy to do that and have that peace of mind that your money that you invest into real estate here is being taken care of, and it's in a safe space. How stable is Panamanian government and those types of factors? Again, it's another big reason why I personally chose to be here, because the Panamanian government is a democratic republic. They have duly elected government. There's an election every 4 or 5 years. It's not that it's a banana republic. It's an actual elected government where people go out and vote, and it's a legitimate democratic system. And that's very important. That's not saying that there's not problems, but there's problems in every country. I'm not going to get into exactly what those problems are here, because I don't want to go down that political route in this video right now, nor do I have the right to as a foreigner living here. I would prefer just to say, the government is stable, the government is democratically elected, And that gives a lot of peace of mind as a foreigner living in a country in Latin America, that there's an actual legal system, there's an actual democratic elected government, and that makes everything feel a lot better. I've done a whole other series of videos similar to this on different topics. So if you would like to know more, please check out the YouTube channel or the blog on the website or the Facebook page. Also, if you're looking for properties, please feel free to contact me. If I don't have certain stuff listed on my website, you'd like to use me as a buyer agent, I can do that as well. So if you found other properties but you feel more confident in dealing with me and I go and represent you on other properties that you found within Panama, please feel free to contact me on that as well. I'm happy to represent you either on the properties that I have listed or on properties that you find with other people if you have confidence within me. Any questions, please feel free to get a hold of me. My WhatsApp number is published all over the website in every listing that I have. WhatsApp's always the best way to contact me or pretty much anybody in Panama. That's how we live on WhatsApp here. Hopefully this video was informative. Hopefully it gave you some answers that you're trying to find when you're researching Panama. And if I can do anything else to help, please reach out. Take care now. Bye-bye.